Welcome to the show for baseball fans by baseball fans. DingerBats.com presents Full Count, the podcast. Now here are your hosts, Keith Gibson and DingerBats owner, Kyle Drone.
Welcome, everybody, to Full Count on this Saturday morning. We thank you for joining us. I know you missed us last week, but one of us was down with the sickness, just like Disturbed. That'd have been me. But we're back with you this Saturday morning, 7 a.m. Thanks for joining us here at DingerBats.com and on 103.5 ESPN Radio. Keith Gibson with you alongside me, DingerBats owner, and my good friend Kyle Drone. Kyle, I know you haven't seen me for 2 weeks. Yeah, we see that. We see that, sir.
That'll be the theme.
Yeah, the Cardinals are red hot. We know that, okay? Okay. But no, how are you, my friend? I know I haven't seen you for a couple weeks, so how are you?
Yeah, I'm great, man. I'm glad you're feeling better. I know you guys, the whole family was down there for a little bit.
Yeah, we were. It's been a couple weeks of sickness around the Gibson household, but so thank goodness we're back to feeling better and everybody's healthier, and we'll get started because last time we talked, I mean, we're just going to jump right into this. We have so much to talk about and catch up on. Last time we met, we said, the Cardinals would have to control their own destiny.
Absolutely.
I know you're giddy right now. 12 in a row coming into the weekend with the Cubbies, who aren't playing the greatest baseball, but at least
but it's
trying.
The rivalry, man. They
is.
always play tight. It's I like how they're coming in, but then again, man, they can't lay down on these games.
Well, I tell you what, I did not see this coming from the Cardinals whatsoever, my friend. I didn't. I thought maybe they'd struggle a little bit, maybe be a 500 team through September with their tough schedule. But, boy, you don't want to talk about they do this every single year. They find a way to do it, and it irritates me every single year. They find a way to win and come hot at the right time.
I mean, they're a late season charge. I mean, August, September this year, it's been, they waited a little longer than usual, but, we'll take it. And, it shows that they can play with anybody in the league.
They've made the right moves as far as in-house moves at the right times with moving Gallegos to reliever, Reyes out of closer, moving Gallegos to there. He's been unhittable. The offenses came alive. So I did some research. I wanted to know just how good the Cardinals have been this second half. They were 44-46 at the break.
Right.
2 games under 500. Nobody really giving them a chance to make the playoffs. They were quite a bit of ways out of there. Second half so far, they are 15 games over 500, 38-23 through Thursday before the series with the Cubs. And now a 4.5 game lead in the wild card. Now that has been helped by nobody else wanting to win the wild card. Let's be honest there. But 12 in a row, I mean, great pitching. You're getting it from guys who, we talked John Lester and Happ came in at the trade deadline. Yeah. I blew that off like, what are you doing?
Right.
But John Lester's came through, and Happ's giving you solid outings. Lester's 4-1 since the trade deadline.
Yeah, no, great addition. He's a gamer. You saw what he did in Boston, obviously in Chicago. I kind of had the same feeling that you did. When they brought him over, I was like, oh, wow, great acquire. But it turns out that they're a little bit of that veteran leadership along with Waino that helps that rotation because the young guys just haven't been able to stay healthy.
I did see where they DFA'd, designated for assignment, Ponce de Leon this week, which shocked me a little bit. But I know him and Yachty got into it a little bit with in the dugout, and as a young pitcher, I just don't think you want to do that. But still, that's a young, quality arm that I don't think will get through waivers. It's a 7-day waiver period, and I think that's coming up here this weekend. I don't think he makes it through. Excuse me.
No, I agree.
But let's talk about the Cardinals, how hot they've been. Wainwright got to 2,000 strikeouts this week. Just solid force. Why haven't you guys re-upped him for next year? He's already said he wants to play. What are you waiting on, Christmas?
I don't know. I mean, that's, how that stuff goes. And it's different, for different players. Maybe Waino says, I don't want to talk about it right now. I want to play. We got plenty of time in the offseason. He's not going anywhere else.
No.
If he's not signing with the Cardinals, I think he's done, which the Cardinals will sign him.
Yep.
So I would just say that Waino's just focused on the season, and we'll deal with that in the offseason.
You look at and this is what I keep looking at. I was looking at today, and it just still boggles my mind they've won 12 in a row coming into the weekend, is the fact that the age of the production they're getting from Wainwright, 40, Lester, right at that, Happ, same way. These three veteran guys are really being a strong point for this team. And the other part is the bullpen's turned it around too. It used to be the bullpen was not good. Let's be honest. The bullpen was not good in the first half.
No.
And it's not been good until like the last maybe 3-4 weeks, but that's when it's mattered most.
Yeah, it's I think it's having those veterans come in, which, like I said, didn't really think much about it at the time. Didn't think it was the greatest acquire we could come up with at the deadline, but not just their ability to pitch, but what they bring to a clubhouse. What they bring as far as leadership to go along with Waino and Molina, and maybe that was enough to show these guys that, hey, the Cardinals aren't giving up.
Well, and the other thing is they're able to stretch out. Lester can go 6. Happ will give you 6 innings. Where they weren't getting that, having to tax the bullpen as much. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's helped the bullpen out too. They aren't as tired, aren't as wore down. But the other part is Paul Goldschmidt has found his stroke here in the last 3 weeks. This 12-game winning streak, he's hitting .350, scored 17 runs, walked 7 times, only K'd 7 times, and he's doing that during the 12-game winning streak. And I think he hit a home run on Thursday, a 2-run shot. So, I mean, he's driving in runs too.
Well, I think that lineup, he was the only one that was kind of struggling a little bit as far as your thumb, because Arenado's been producing. What's the left fielder's name? Drawing a blank.
O'Neill.
Tyler O'Neill's been amazing. So they got to pitch to somebody, and he's getting to see more pitches, and now he's effectively turning the ball around. So now you got all 3 of them going. So who you gonna pitch to? You got to pitch to one of them. The
change I've seen in Goldschmidt's approach is early in the year I thought he was trying to pull everything. Use the left side of the field a lot. And during this last 2-3 weeks, I've seen him go oppo a lot more, which I think has helped him out too, because it's helped him on pitches maybe inside a little bit. He's able to turn on them better because he's not trying to pull everything so much. His hands are staying back a little farther. So it's been pretty amazing. August 22nd, the Cardinals had a 4.3% chance of making the playoffs. On September 22nd, just a month later, 90.6, and that's went up in the last few days as well.
Yeah. No, it's been an amazing turnaround, and it's fun to watch. Being a Cardinal fan, I know you're not having as much fun as I am.
Well, it's not that, but it's amazing to watch. It really is. I'm like, when's this going to end?
Right.
You sweep the division leading Brewers in a 4-game set. You still got 3 with them, but they aren't a team that's playing well either.
No, they're down. I mean, the Cardinals just beat them. Cardinals are playing their best baseball. The Brewers were playing solid. It wasn't like they're just slumping that bad. That they're just up against a team that's on a roll right now, and that's what happened.
Yeah, the Cardinals are getting timely hitting. That's the difference. They're getting the hits when they need to drive in runs. Lester picked up his 200th win here in the last 2 weeks. I didn't like to see it in a Cardinal uniform. I didn't, but congratulations to him.
Yep.
So I was listening to 670 The Score, and I was listening to John Heyman was on there, great sports writer, national writer, and he was talking about Wainwright and Lester. Both have Wainwright's just shy of, I think, 200 wins, but he's got 2,000 Ks. Lester now with 200 wins, couple rings. He said in his mind, both are Hall of Famers, even though they don't have 300 wins. What's your take on that?
Well, at some point, we had this conversation a couple shows back about 300 and who can get there, and there's not many left. And the way pitching is, utilized nowadays, I don't know that we're ever going to see it after the next 5-7 years after the last few make it. So, if we get another year, and I think you got to put a premium on their playoff stats. And if you go by that, they both have rings. They both have put together, great seasons. So I would say they're definitely going to get some votes. It might come down to who they're in the class with, you know what I mean? And who takes votes from them. But I think they're both contenders. I don't know that they're Hall of Famers, just the way the voting goes, but we'll see.
I actually will agree with John Heyman. I think both are Hall of Famers.
Really?
Just because of their postseason pedigree,
Mm-hmm.
what they bring to the table, their longevity, the way they've pitched for so many years. I think they're both Hall of Famers in my eyes, even though they don't have 300 wins. Lester to be able to do it in both the American League and National League, I think was impressive. Wainwright to do it with the Cardinals, period, is impressive as well. So in my eyes, I think they're both Hall of Famers. Maybe not first ballot, as you said. It's going to depend on that. But I think they'll get enough votes where they can get in, maybe second, third year. But I want to go back to Goldie real quick because I saw another stat. I know we're talking a lot of Cardinals here this morning. We want to thank you for joining us here on Full Count, whether you're listening to us on dingerbats.com, whether you've downloaded our podcast, or you're with us on 103.5 ESPN Radio. Thanks for joining us here on Saturday morning. Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone with you. Let's talk Goldie, because these stats for his career kind of made me look at him in a different light as well. Because he's not, the Cardinals are paying him, but he's not getting paid lucratively.
No.
So, Goldie's stats, 1,559 hits for a career, 276 RBI, so he'll get to 300.
Yep.
931 runs, so he should get to 1,000 here in the next couple of years.
Right.
918 RBIs, he'll get to 1,000 there too.
Yep.
3 Gold Gloves, and 3 top 3 MVP finishes.
Nice.
So you look at those numbers, and who those are comparable to? Reggie Jackson, Ken Griffey Jr., and Harmon Killebrew.
Overall stats?
Overall stats. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
And that's comparable to those guys as far as stats as at what point they're at in their career.
Okay.
So I looked at it, I'm like, man, I did not realize Goldie, I know he put up numbers in Arizona with the Diamondbacks before he came to St. Louis, but those are numbers that I didn't really put with him. But it makes sense being the type of hitter he is.
Yeah, he's always been quietly consistent, and kind of hidden playing in Arizona. Same way as Arenado. Arenado stats, same way. They just, do it year in and year out. They're not going to come out and hit 55, 60 home runs, but it's going to be 30 plus every year, 100 plus RBIs every year, and they're going to hit for a high average. It's always around 300.
Yeah, and then, we were talking before we came on the air today, is the fact that Arenado's now at 33 and 100, for the year, 33 homers, 100 RBIs, and he'll tack on to that, I'm sure, probably this weekend in Wrigley, because he does. But quietly, and that's why I told you, he's done it quietly. He hasn't done it flash. I know he was a big pickup in the offseason for a box of Cracker Jacks and a bag of popcorn.
Yeah.
But you haven't heard a whole lot out of him. Defensively, he still plays a Gold Glove caliber third baseman. I still think he's the best third baseman in baseball. But offensively, it's been quiet, 33 and 100. Is that because he's got more around him, do you think, in St. Louis? Or is it because St. Louis doesn't look at, Colorado was him and Trevor Story. That's all the offense they had.
Right.
In St. Louis, you had Goldschmidt. You've got Yachty. You've got Tyler O'Neill. You've got somebody different every day of the week producing for a club.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. And, the Cardinal fans are a different fan base than, let's say, Colorado especially.
You could say that again.
It's, you can't argue the Cardinal fan base is probably as strong as any other fan base out there as far as, loyalty and, Tommy Evans is one of the fan favorites. Bader's become a fan favorite. Carlson, early in his career. They love the team top to bottom, good or bad. And, Arenado doesn't need to be the superstar. He is quietly a superstar. But as you said, there's a few of them on the team. So, I think that's why players love to come to St. Louis and play. Yeah, one of the reasons.
I think that's a great point, Kyle, is the fact that they don't have to be the guy every day in and out in St. Louis because whether I like to admit it or not, Mosaic builds a team. He's never had a losing season in 14 years in the front office of the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, do I agree with all the moves he's made? And sometimes do I think everybody asks why?
Yeah.
Yes, I think Cardinal fans and baseball fans everywhere will do that with some of the things he does. But you got to admit, the guy puts together a winning ball club every year.
Yeah, I mean, there's a, Cardinal baseball. There's a philosophy, I think, that has held true over the years. And like you said, there's a lot of times that we question some moves or why you're not making moves or, whatnot. But, they prove to win in the long run. So, I mean, you can't argue with the numbers.
Well, we trade deadline, we both asked each other why Lester and Happ, and this is why. They're producing and giving the Cardinals innings and taking some stuff off the bullpen. One Cardinal pitcher who's supposed to come back this weekend, Flaherty is coming back. I'm anxious to see how many innings they let him pitch, how he gears back up. If they get in the postseason and he can gear back up, I think they ought to keep him in the bullpen. I do. Be that long relief guy if need be, because he is a prized possession that you want in your rotation moving forward for the next 8 to 10 years. If he lasts that long. Is that your thought too, or do you think, hey, if you need a game 3 starter, you got Wainwright, Lester, and then you got either Happ or Flaherty, who you throwing out there? Is that something you would consider, or do you think he's going to be better, maybe that long relief guy come postseason?
Well, I think in the 7-game series, you're going to, they're probably going to go 4 starters. He might be that 4th starter because I don't see Lester or Happ having success going into the pen.
No. Look, I'm going to stop you there. We've seen what John Lester does coming out of the pen. Game 7 of the 16 World Series, it wasn't pretty.
Yeah. So, I can see that being a very good fit, depending on, where the need is. But right now, your bullpen's doing what your bullpen's supposed to do. So how can you slide those guys, and move, take somebody out that's been an instrumental part of getting to where you're at now. So, Schiltz got some decisions to make, and I'm sure he's got a game plan. But, it's all going to depend on how he comes back and how he develops and what kind of success he has. So but I can definitely see your point to where the bullpen, the long relief side of it could be a good play.
Let's be honest. It's great that they're getting in. It's great they're hot. But 1-game playoff, and the Dodgers manager Dave Roberts said they're going to throw Max Scherzer, whether it's for a tiebreaker for the NL West or it's that 1-game wild card playoff. Boy, Scherzer's been dominant since coming over to the Dodgers. You're gonna have to have all hands on deck in that game if the Cardinals keep playing like they do, and I think the Cardinals will. If they lose this 4.5-game lead, I will be just as shocked as a 12-game winning streak. I think you would be too, correct?
No, for sure.
So you're throwing Waino, I take it, in that game, correct?
In a
1 game, the wild card.
Yeah, 1 game, yeah, absolutely, Waino. You got to give the ball to Waino.
That's what I would too, without a doubt. Let's talk about what they got coming up left. They got this weekend 4 in Chicago, and as you said, it makes you nervous. But I think you'll be fine. It's not the same Cubs team that you've seen in the last past years. 3 at home against the Brewers, and then 3 more at home against the Cubbies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to lie to you. I really think out of these last 10 games, I wouldn't be shocked if they go 8-2.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, they definitely have the capability of doing it, but it always scares me. Chicago. If you can come out with a split. I mean, a lot of the, it's not the same Chicago team, but you got a lot of young guys. They're going to get their first taste of Cardinal Cubs, and you got a lot of hunger there. Mm-hmm. So that rivalry. Always great games. The Cardinals can have the best team, and it's just hard to split with them. So I feel like if they can play 500 ball the rest of the way, they're good. Obviously I'd like to see them go 6-4 or 8-2 would be tremendous. But it's going to be tough. I mean, you got Milwaukee and Chicago.
I don't want you're hearing this from a Cub fan. We got to quit winning ball games. We're hurting our draft stock. But I have liked what I've seen here lately from the guys, and there's a lot of young guys that I hope we retain and stay around because there are a lot of young guys that I think have a lot of potential. So it'll be fun to see where that goes. Before we take a quick break and come back, I want to talk a little bit about the closer role because we talked about Alex Reyes and what to do with Alex Reyes next year. Well, Schilt didn't wait till that long. He took him out of the closer role and into that more of a setup role. Gallegos has been absolutely dominant.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have thought to do that. I really wouldn't have. But Reyes has pitched tremendous too in that setup role. Is that because you think there's not enough pressure, not as much pressure on him now, and he can kind of relax? And Gallegos is just that flamethrower that's going to go in there and, pardon my language, balls to wall and just he's going to get you out.
Yeah, I mean, it may just be the personalities. Maybe Reyes is a little young yet and can't handle the pressure. For Schilt to see that, it's amazing to even give it a try. And it's worked out for him, and I think you got to roll with this the rest of the way out. And you can tell Reyes just by his success that he's good with it. Like he feels more comfortable where he's at. So I think it was a great move.
I agree with you, and I'm glad that, I think him maybe moving to the rotation next year is probably best for him because I think that's where he's most comfortable. And right, his mannerisms tell it all out on the mound. Right. He just doesn't look as tense and as tight out on the mound here in setup role. So, hey, let's take a quick break. We will come back, and we're going to talk a little bit White Sox baseball. We got tons more to talk about today on the show, including NL MVP. I think you and I have a difference in who's leading candidate there, who's a front runner. We're going to talk the wild card race. We're going to talk about the Braves making history. We're going to talk 30-30. We got so much to talk about today on the show, trying to wrap it into 1 hour. We'll take a quick break, come right back here on Full Count, and dive back into it. You're listening to us at dingerbats.com and on 103.5 ESPN Radio.
Today's episode of Full Count is brought to you by Bosco's Biscuits and Booze. If you need the taste of Southern Illinois, then visit the all-new Bosco's Biscuits and Booze, home of the world champion daily special. 2 large, all-natural, juicy white meat chicken breast, a side of the famous What the Hell biscuits, and a bucket of the cheapest beer in stock for only $6.99. Located at the corner of Old Milwaukee Boulevard, next to the Primo Hooer Hotel. Bosco's Biscuits and Booze. It's world champion food and cheap-ass booze.
Welcome back into Full Count. Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone with you here on Saturday morning. Thank you for joining us. Hope you've had a good cup of coffee, how you like it, whether it's black with cream and sugar or maybe you've got a ice cold one already this morning. Starting early, getting ready for college football later on and playoff baseball races heating up. But let's talk National League MVP race. I think it's a lot tighter than maybe the AL. I think if Shohei doesn't win in the AL, there's a big problem. Even though Vlad's had a great year, it's hard to deny what Shohei's done both at the plate and on the mound, and I think he's a front runner there myself. Do you agree with that? I'd hope.
I do, man. I just hate to see Vlad not get it, especially if this push gets them into the playoffs. I mean, because they're playing some hot baseball right now.
They are too. Yep. And we'll get to that here in a little bit.
And he has been the center of that, and. I don't know. I think they're both going to get votes. I mean, it's hard to deny what Ohtani's done. I mean, playing both sides of the ball, and producing the way he is on both sides of the ball. I mean, it's monumental. It's, historic. So I do think he is the front runner. But, man, that's going to be a tough second place for Vlad.
It would be. Whoever would get second place, it'd be a hard pill to swallow. Let's talk National League, though. I mean, we got some front runners. You've got Tatis Jr. You've got guys like maybe Arenado, who's put up some great numbers. You've got guys like even Freddie Freeman, Austin Riley, some Braves guys in there putting up some numbers. Here's one name that maybe nobody's ever thought about yet for an MVP because he's not hitting maybe his weight. I don't know. But Adam Duvall. The guy's putting up monster numbers this year as well on a winning team. But we'll get to that in a little bit as well. But my guy, having a huge second half is Bryce Harper. He's my NL MVP front runner just because he's had a second half that the Phillies had to have out of him to get back in contention. So in the second half, he's hitting 350, 483 on base, 743 slugging with 18 homers. That's a pretty good line as far as second half numbers. Now, he's leading the league in OPS, on base plus slugging at 1.051, and he's leading the NL in slugging at .621. So, to me, he's your front runner. Even though Tatis has more homers, he's on a ball club that has struggled mightily in the second half with all that talent they have, and even though he's putting up numbers, I have Bryce Harper ahead of him. I do. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely in that instance, Tatis and Harper, I think what it comes down to is, the numbers are one thing. You got to have a certain level of numbers. They both have them. It comes down to what they did in the end to help their team win and make it to the playoffs. And I don't know if the Phillies are going to make it. That's why I'll go to your original pick at the beginning, our very first show, I believe, and Nolan Arenado. I mean, he's quietly putting up 33 and 100, and he's been a huge part of what these Cardinals have done this last, month, really the last month. And I think that should weigh in a little bit on it. Because if you just go by second halves, look at Juan Soto. I mean,
yes,
but he's on a losing team. But had he put together anything in the first half, I mean, he would be hands down the MVP.
The man gets on. That's a great call there with Soto, because you're exactly right. If he'd have done anything in the first half, he would be walking away with the National League MVP, hands down. Whether he's on a losing team, not even an Andre Dawson type of.
I think his numbers would be so far surpassed everyone else that,
right.
You'd have to in that rare instance. But when you got some guys jumbled up, I think the weight then gets on to what you did to help your team win at the end. And I think, Harper's not out of it, and I think he's definitely a top contender, but I think you got to look heavily at Arenado right now.
I can't disagree with you there with Arenado. I mean, I did say he would win the MVP. Mm-hmm. And he's quietly put up the 30 and 100, hitting 280, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. Has drawn his walks, plays Gold Glove defense. You can't deny what he brings to the table and on a team that's going to make the playoffs.
Right.
Where Tatis Jr., the Padres, and that team, I have no answers for. They're 22 and a half games out of the West. Did you think at this time of the year, when we started this back in April, beginning of the year, that we'd be saying the Padres are 22 and a half games out of the division race?
No way.
Me neither.
No way.
But that pitching has just went by the wayside, with even though all the trades they've had with Darvish and Snell and that, and even was it Musgrove? Yeah, he's gone, and then Clevenger's been down. It's been a disaster for the Padres. Right. So I look at Harper's numbers for the season. 95 runs, respectable.
Mm-hmm.
39 doubles, 143 hits, 33 homers. Here's the number that I think, well, if you're correct, so him and Arenado, same amount of homers.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a number that may hurt Harper for MVP, 80 RBIs.
Yeah.
80 RBIs. He's hitting 314, though. So 314 for Bryce Harper is huge. Now I'm going to take a second here while we talk and look up Arenado's numbers as well, just because I don't have them in front of me. Believe it or not, I don't look up Cardinal stats all day long like you. But so you're saying, so what is, from what I get from what you said, Vlad's, you saying Vlad could push for that because his team's getting the playoffs. Do you think an MVP has to have a team in the playoffs?
No, I don't think it has to, but I think that it's shown in past that if they're close, then that definitely helps their voting, because if they did anything the last month of the season or whatever that was definitely impactful and part of the reason their team is doing what they're doing, I feel like it bears some weight. Obviously I'm not a voter and I don't know how the voting goes exactly, but I got to believe that you can't, forget about that. Just like you can't forget about, Hall of Fame inductions, putting a lot more weight on playoff performance.
I agree with that. I completely agree with that. Now Arenado's only hitting. I was wrong. Believe it or not, I was wrong on something. He's only hitting 258. I really thought he was hitting a higher number.
I did too. That'll definitely hurt him. So yeah, I would not feel bad at all if Harper won the MVP. He well deserved, great second half, and a big part of their winning and pushing to where they end up. They may not make it, obviously, but I just think Arenado is going to get some consideration.
I think he will too. But does Tatis get the consideration just for maybe he's got 40? He's got over 40 homers. He's got over 100 RBIs. Even though that team is well out now and tanked, basically, I won't say tanked, but falling apart the second half. I mean, is he going to get some from the writers just because of his flashiness?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the numbers themselves, and really, if you look at the amount of games he's done that in, I mean, he was out a couple of lengthy times with injuries. So he's done that. I mean, if he's, what's he going to play, 120 games and put up those numbers?
Probably around there. Yeah, 120, 130.
Yeah, so you definitely got to consider that. He's going to get votes, but I just don't think it's enough to, bring him the MVP. So, I mean, and I could be wrong on Arenado, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Cardinals fan. But, I mean, hell, you picked him at the beginning of the year.
I did. Yeah, because I thought he'd have a monster year, and he's doing everything, as I said, as we said earlier in the show, quietly 33 and 103 right now. Quietly.
Right. Yeah, and his batting average is, like I said, lower than both of us expected. But, you got to play both sides of the ball, too, and he plays a Gold Glove. He's going to get a Gold Glove at third, most likely.
Well, if he doesn't, it's a crime.
Right, and so that's got to figure in as well, I would think. So, it'll be interesting. But I think Harper will edge it out, and then it'll be, Tatis, Arenado, Soto will get some votes, Freeman should get some votes, and possibly Austin Riley. But, so that's going to be your top 4, 5, 6, whatever.
Doesn't matter past one, buddy.
It does.
Well,
it does.
Money-wise, later on.
You threw out a stat a while ago that Goldie got 3 top 3 finishes in MVP voting, and that means something. There's if you look back at Willie Mays, how many times was he in the top 3, top 5? I think he was like for a 10 or 15 year span, something ridiculous.
Right. How about your boy Mike Trout?
Oh, yeah. I don't think he's ever, except this year probably,
right,
not finished in the top 5.
Right. So we want to know who your National League MVP is. Go join our Facebook group, Full Count the Podcast. Give us your opinion. Let us know who your MVP is. That's what we want to know. Or, you can always message us and let us know. That way we want to kind of get a gauge of what the people are thinking, what our listeners are thinking. So do that. And
yeah, absolutely.
And we'd love to hear from you. So we'll take another quick break. We're going to come back. And we're going to talk 30-30 Club right here on Full Count. And who's got a shot at getting 30-30? Because that's a prestigious club in Major League Baseball. You're listening to us at DingerBats.com on 103.5 ESPN Radio.
Kester Homes is your full-service real estate team. They work all of Champaign County and a full 60-mile radius around. What really sets Kyle, Tiffany, and their team apart is they work with home buyers, home sellers, and build new construction homes. So they really are seeing all angles of the real estate industry, from existing homes, investment properties, and new construction. Contact Kester Homes at 217-390-5953 or visit online at kesterhomes.com. That's KOESTER homes.com. Kester Homes is a licensed real estate broker with the Keller Williams, the Real Estate Center of Illinois.
Back here on Full Count, Keith Gibson, Kyle Jerome with you here at DingerBats.com, 103.5 ESPN Radio. And, of course, on Facebook, you can watch us each and every week at 7 a.m. You can leave us comments, talk to us while the show is airing. But right now, we're gonna talk 30-30. We're not talking 30 packs of Keystone. We're going to talk 30 stolen bases, 30 home runs, ladies and gentlemen. And there
You're
is
in that 30-30 club.
I've never came close in that 30-30 club. Never. It's the stolen bases get me every time. But there's some guys who have a real shot at 30-30 this year. And I look back at past years, Kyle, and between 2012 and 2019, there wasn't a player join the 30-30 club.
Really?
Can you believe that?
I cannot.
That's 7 seasons where nobody joined the 30-30 club. And 2019, one of the guys who's got a shot this year, Indians third baseman, Jose Ramirez, who I wouldn't think would be a guy who did it, has done it twice now. He did it in 19 and 20.
Okay.
So interesting. He's at 35 homers, 24 stolen bases. When you think of 30-30 club, though, and 40-40 club, basically, who do you think of?
Oh, you think of Bonds, you think of Griffey, you think of these tremendous athletes with a lot of power. Those are the first two that pop in my head. Man.
See, I think of like Alfonso Soriano. Well, I remember him in 30-30. Bonds is another one I think of. Guys like Griffey, of course. Guys who were more than they were 5-tool guys. Let's put it that way. They could run and they could steal bases. One of these guys that has joined the 30-30 club already, which I think is awesome, is under the radar. You wouldn't have thought about it. We haven't even hardly talked about him all season long, besides a little bit during the All-Star break. Orioles center fielder Cedric Mullins.
Yeah.
30-30 guy. I think he's got 30 stolen bases, 30 homers out of a guy who is quicker than I'll get out.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't realize he had the pop either.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really did. Except maybe the Orioles saw it in the minor league system. I don't think I even heard of him, coming up through the ranks until he got to the big league level.
I didn't either. So it's pretty impressive what he's doing. Of course, there's your typical guys who are right there to do it. Shohei is 7 stolen bases away from joining the 30-30 club. He's got 45 and 23 right now. So, but only 10 games to go. So, you're really going to have to pack on those stolen bases if you want to get there.
And that's surprising because he's such a big guy. I know he's athletically gifted, but he's like 6'5", 6'6", 220. That's a lot of body to get going in the base path.
But you know what he does well? He's
everything.
That's true. Good point. But he is a very fundamentally sound base runner.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between a guy who can run the bases and a guy who's fundamentally sound running the bases.
Right.
He is fundamentally sound. Another guy who is that tall, and it's because I've watched him quite a bit, but you wouldn't think he would be. Chris Bryant is a fundamentally sound base runner. He's not very fast, but he can get from first to home on a ball in the gap because he runs the bases fundamentally sound.
Right.
So let's talk about a couple other guys. Tatis Jr. Here's if he's going to get 30-30, he's at 40 and 25 right now. He needs 5 stolen bases. He could get in the next 10 days and do that.
Right.
So I was looking at this, and there's not many guys after that who even have a close shot. Merrifield, he's leading Major League Baseball with 40 stolen bases. We were talking about stolen bases a couple of weeks back. 40, buddy. 40 is leading the league. Right. But Cedric Mullins has a chance to be a 30-30-30 guy this year.
30 doubles?
30 doubles. He is 2 doubles shy of 30 doubles.
I think he'll get it.
I think he will too. To me, that is a bigger feat than the 30-30 club. It reminds me of a guy like Mark Grace. If Grace ever had any power and some speed, besides the stuff he took, he could have been a guy. Those doubles type of guys, a 30-30-30 guy is a pretty impressive. And Cedric Mullins, for a guy that nobody doesn't get a lot of spotlight.
Right.
Nobody really knew about. Even you and I didn't know till he came up this year.
Right.
And I didn't realize how fast he was until he actually played in the All-Star game. I'm like, I didn't know who this guy was.
Right.
Especially in Baltimore because they've lost 104 games.
Yeah, that's nuts.
But who do you see coming up, though? Some of these younger guys who could be a 30-30 guy.
Well, Tatis will do it a few times, I'm sure, in his early part of the career, and then they'll shut him down. I really can't believe that in that span, Trout hadn't done it at least a few times.
He has twice.
Yeah, but with his injuries and mostly in his legs, they're going to shut that down.
Right.
He's not going to, or he's going to shut it down. One of the two. I don't think the team would be so inclined other than say, hey, you might want to take it a little easier on the base path. But I think for his longevity, he's going to probably consider that and run a little less. But I feel like he might have one or two low what he's at his age 30 season.
Yep.
Or next year.
Next year will be 30.
So you got Tatis. I think Bo Bichette, if he learns to steal bags a little better, he definitely got the pop.
He was one of those guys that was right there on the fringe. He's got 25 homers.
Yeah.
And you get 5 homers over a 10-day span. I just didn't even consider him for the list.
Right.
But he had like 25 and 27, stolen bags. So I agree with you there. He's a great guy that I think could do it.
Yeah, you got Acuna, which we're not talking about because he's out for the season. He can definitely do it a few times. Power, he's hit 40 home runs already once in his career.
We're going to get back to him in just a couple minutes because I want to talk about his numbers and what he could be.
Okay. Let's see. Who else? I mean, there's a lot of young guys that, just haven't really got their chance yet. Let's see. I think a guy like...
Here, let me throw this name out to you and tell me why he hasn't joined the 30-30 club yet. Javier Baez. Guy's a great base runner.
Mm-hmm.
Has pop. He's got over 30 home runs again this year. He's only got 14 stolen bases.
Well,
why?
Because he either hits a home run or strikes out.
Oh, I knew you were going to go there. I was trying to avoid that one.
You got to get on base to steal bases.
That's true. That's true.
So, if he just cut his strikeouts
in half,
up to his walks a little bit, then there's your extra opportunities right there. So, that in a nutshell, that's basically his biggest problem.
The other thing when I was looking at the numbers, Kyle, was the fact that when I saw Merrifield was leading the league with 40 stolen bases, this 30-30 club now, it becomes even more prestigious to me because it's harder
it's more rare.
You're right. Yeah. It's harder to get. Back in the 80s when guys were stealing 100 bags, and the average guy, the average person was, stealing 40 to 50 bags a year, maybe even 30 to 50. Guys were Jose Canseco, for the love of everything good and holy, was a 30-30 guy. I think he was even a 40-40 guy, wasn't he?
I think he was.
So, that tells you that a guy that size could do it back in the day.
Right.
Part of that is the way the game has changed, and we've talked about that in previous shows too, is guys just don't – there's no more small ball, and that hurts this. That's why this 30-30 to me is pretty special, and what Cedric Mullins is doing, the chance at 30-30-30 makes it even better.
Yeah, especially in his rookie season.
Right. So, 30-30-30, a chance to have several guys do it this year. So we'll keep an eye out in the last week and a half of the season, last week, and see who can do it. I'll tell you who's not going to do it. A Chicago Cub. There's a good chance of that.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come right back, and we'll talk some managerial news already. Some guys getting extended you may not think should. Right here on Full Count. You're listening to us at dingerbats.com and at 103.5 ESPN Radio.
Today's episode of Full Count is brought to you by Ford of Tuscola.
Check out the all-new Ford of Tuscola. It's a small-town feel with great big deals. Pre-owned vehicles starting at $24.95. Online at FordofTuscola.com or call 217-253-3353.
Back here on Full Count, Kyle Jordan, I have one question for you. If you lose 104 games in a Major League Baseball season, do you think you get extended as a manager?
Yeah, why not? Who else wants the job?
Well, that's true. That's a good point. Apparently, two teams that can't find anybody who does, because the Diamondbacks have extended their manager, Lavello, on a one-year extension. They are 48-104 as of Thursday, heading into the weekend. And the Orioles, which I'm happy about this because I've met their manager, Brandon Hyde, great guy, former Cub first base coach. They extended him, but they're 48-104 too. So you got two clubs who've lost 100 games and extend their managers for another year. But you know what? They're rebuilding.
Yeah, I mean, all jokes aside, I mean, really who does want to come into that job? So you're not going to get anybody that knows, that comes in who's going to know the personnel that you have.
Right.
And, you give them another shot to kind of further that along and see if there is any future for them or if they can show improvements with what they got. Because let's face it, neither team's going to go out and make blockbuster deals and just really add to their rosters. They're going to use what they have through the farm system and what they have right now at the big league level. And, I think it's good for them. I'm glad that the teams are kind of putting some faith into them to give them a shot because they knew it doesn't matter who you had at the helm. They're probably going to have the same win-loss record.
Agreed. Yes, they will. And the Reds also extended their manager, Bell, through 2023. I thought that was a great move by them. Yep. I think the Reds are a up-and-coming team. I think we could see – it depends on what they do in the offseason. If Nick Castellanos opts out, different Reds ball club. But we'll see what they do. Let's talk wild card races. We're down to the nitty-gritty. We're down to tight stretches. Your St. Louis Cardinals in the National League, a 4.5-game lead. The Reds, Phillies, Padres, and Mets right behind them. Everybody else has been eliminated. Even my Cubbies finally got eliminated. But in the last 10 games, heading into the weekend, I'm going to give you the records of these four clubs. I want you to tell me who's who, okay?
Okay.
3-7.
Padres.
2-8.
Reds.
2-8.
Philly? No. Who was the other team?
You got the Mets and Phillies left.
Mets.
And 6-4.
Phillies.
You know why the Cardinals have a 4.5-game lead? It's not only because they've won 12 in a row. It's because nobody else can win a ball game.
That helps.
Yeah. Padres and Mets both at 2-8 in their last 10. Philly's the only team with a winning record, 6-4, and the Reds are 3-7. So
I nailed them all, right?
No, you missed one.
I missed them all.
You got the Padres right.
Yeah, well.
The Mets right. But anyway, so the Reds, the Central is untouchable for them. They got to look to the wild card. They're sitting 3 back right now of the Cardinals.
Right.
Phillies are 2.5. Phillies are 2.5 back of the Cardinals. Padres are 6 back, and the Mets are 9. So I think those two,
they're gone.
They're gone.
Mm-hmm.
They're done. Sorry, I got lost there. The Phillies are 3 games back in the NL East, though.
Right.
They're tailing a team. So they got a shot really at both, but they're trailing a team in the Atlanta Braves, who you said you've been a fan of most of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And liked them when we've talked playoff races and who finishes up. Ozzie Albies became the first Brave second baseman to homer 30 times in a season, driving 100.
Okay.
Austin Riley sitting at 32 and 100. Freddie Freeman sitting at 31 and 100.
Wow.
And Dansby Swanson is sitting at 26 and 80. God, that's a lot of production out of an infield.
That is.
So I thought, man, okay, if they're getting that production out of the infield, what are they getting out of the outfield? And this is why they've been so good and have taken over the lead in the second half, kind of taken over that NL East division. We talked about Adam Duvall earlier. For the year, 37 homers, 105 RBIs. He's had 15 since coming over the trade deadline with the Braves. 15 homers.
Right.
Jorge Soler, 24 homers, 62 RBIs. He's hit 11 homers since coming over to the Braves. Now, we talked about, you said in the last segment, we talked about Ronald Acuna Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Guy only played 82 games this year before tearing his ACL.
Right.
24 homers, 52 RBIs. Can you imagine if he was healthy all year long? Oh, by the way, 27 stolen bases, by the way, as well in that first 82 games.
Yeah.
So he would have been
30-30 easy.
He would have been probably 40-40 easy.
Right.
Could you imagine what type of offense or what kind of numbers he would have put up if stayed healthy? He would have been your runaway MVP.
Oh, quite possibly, yes.
So in my mind here, and your thoughts, Cardinals 4.5 game lead. I don't see one of these teams even being able to catch him. They would have to make a big downfall, Kyle, by the Cardinals for one of these teams to catch them.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think if they play solid 500 ball the rest of the way, I think they're good. I don't want to take anything for granted. Obviously I hope that record's better, but I don't, who has the other wild card spot?
Dodgers.
Yeah. So there's no, it's all the fight for the Cardinals,
right?
The last spot. I mean, what, I don't know what they're, what they're going into, who they're going up against, the Phillies.
I believe the Phillies got the Braves, and I want to say the Giants, maybe.
Oh, that's worse than what the Cardinals have ahead of them.
Right.
So
right. Yeah.
That's going to be a tough go for them. But yeah, I think the Cardinals hang on, and the Braves are definitely going to hang on to the East.
I think so too. And let's talk AL a little bit. You got Boston. Tampa Bay's won the East. They've already got that. They're in the playoffs. The White Sox have clinched. They were in the playoffs. They clinched this week as well. The West, the Astros are only 2 games behind the race for the best record in the American League right now.
Right.
And they're well ahead of the Athletics in the West. You've got the Red Sox, who are leading 2 games over 2 games over the Yankees in that second wild card spot. Blue Jays are a half game back in the Mariners. My Mariners, I told you, they're going to be my sleeper. Game and a half back. And how they're doing it, I have no clue.
No.
But sneaky. I'm going to throw a stat at you. I threw it at you at the break, and I just want to get your thoughts on this. The Blue Jays have a run differential of a plus 171. The Mariners are a minus 54, and the Yankees are a plus 34.
Yeah.
Out of those 3 teams who are contending for the second wild card spot in the AL, the Blue Jays are the best. I mean, overall, just on paper, are the best team, and I hope they get in because I don't think the Yankees are that good a team. You're going to see them one and done.
Yeah. No, I agree. I've always talked about how exciting the Blue Jays are. They're just a little bit younger right now, and they're going to hit their stride, especially if they can keep the veteran presence there, with Springer and Semien. I'd love to see Semien stay.
41 homers this year.
Well, I was going to say he's somebody we didn't even talk about as far as a MVP contender. He'll definitely get some votes there. But I'd love to see the Blue Jays, young, exciting. I don't know how far they'd go in the playoffs, but I can see them definitely making it if they can continue this onslaught of offense they've got going.
I want the Blue Jays in for this simple reason. I want America and all the rest of baseball who doesn't get to see the Blue Jays play on a regular basis, what kind of young talent they have.
Right.
And I want Vlad Guerrero to be able to do that too. I want the entire country to be able to see these young guys play because they are fun to watch.
And, let's not forget, they only got to play, the last month and a half in their home stadium.
Right. The last 2 months in Toronto. Everything else was played in Buffalo.
Yeah. So they have, might have had a different season had they got to play in their home stadium all year.
Right. I agree with you on that. I agree with you. So this last week is going to be tough for all 3 of these teams. It's going to come down to probably the final day next Sunday of who gets in and who gets out. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have a 1-game playoff.
Yeah, no, that's super exciting in itself.
Yes, it is. It is. So you're pulling Jays? I'm pulling Jays here for this week too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Good deal. I'm glad you didn't say the Yankees. I'd have had to. Maybe. And the Mariners, hey, good for them. Better season. I said for some reason at the beginning of the year, I said they were just my sleeper team, and they played well. I don't know how, but they've just got timely.
They've had a
pitching.
huge year out of Kyle Seager.
Yeah, and he's a free agent, by the way.
Yeah, good year to put up the big numbers.
Yeah, always. So, hey, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back and make a call to the bullpen and wrap things up here on Full Count on this Saturday morning. You're listening to us at DingerBats.com on our 103.5 ESPN Radio.
Today's episode of Full Count is brought to you by Bees Trees.
Bees Trees, your local ISA certified arborist with over 10 years experience, specializing in tree removal, tree trimming, and with free estimates. Call Greg Miller of Bees Trees today at 217-260-4551.
Making the call to the bullpen, calling for the closer. It's Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone with you here on Full Count this Saturday morning. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you joining us and downloading our show. Kyle, I don't even think I've told you this yet. We're getting a lot of downloads lately. We appreciate everybody downloading and listening to the show. We're getting quite the uptick here. And we appreciate everybody who watches us on Saturday morning on our Facebook group as well. We appreciate that and all your feedback there. And share with your friends. Join our Facebook group as well if you haven't. And let us know your opinions. We love to hear from you. So don't forget, you can always order a trophy bat if you got a special day coming up for somebody at dingerbats.com. It is fantastic. They look like that above me, over this side, above my head right there. Great trophy bats, and Kyle does a great job with those. We also have our Strikeout Hunger golf event coming up October 16th. We have one team available still. Still got that one team, $300 for a foursome. You get a swag bag full of all kinds of stuff, shirts, hats, poker chips, all kinds of stuff. You'll just have to get a team in and find out at Iron Horse Golf Club in Tuscola, all to benefit the Eastern Illinois Food Bank and Feeding Our Kids organization here in Central Illinois. So looking forward to that, Kyle. I'm excited for a day of golf with you and your old man and John Ross Wilson from Freeman's Tavern. We're going to have a great team. We may not win, but we'll have a lot of fun.
We'll have a fun team.
That's right.
Put it that way.
That's right. And thanks to Jimmy John's. Jimmy John's is providing lunch for everybody that day, so a big shout-out to them. And thanks to Pepsi for providing the Gatorade for lunch as well. So we're just spoiling everybody who's playing. So if you want to get a team, make sure you get in. Got one team left. And thanks to our sponsors, of course, for making all that happen. But as we wrap up things today, Kyle, Drone, you got anything to add?
No, I'm good.
As always, you should be right now with 12 wins in a row from the Cardinals and heading into the weekend against Cubs. Yep. So, all right, for my tag team partner, my good friend Kyle Drone, I am Keith Gibson. Have a great week, everybody. Enjoy this last week of the Major League Baseball regular season.
Yeah, I can't believe it's almost over.
I know. You know what the good news is, Kyle? We get to go playoff baseball next week.
Oh, yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. We will see you next Saturday morning, 7 a.m. on Facebook. If you want to watch us, you can listen to us at dingerbats.com. Make sure you download the podcast. And thank you to those who listen to us at 103.5 ESPN Radio. Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.